So welcome everyone to the Verifying Release UX team meeting. And yeah, I'm extremely excited to have this session, particularly today, because we have a new team member joining. Vidika, this is our bi-weekly meeting where we meet as team of product designers in the Verifying Release. And we have a standard template here for the meeting, which we kind of like go over through. So I placed the FYI, the read-only item about the Family and Friends Day. Thanks, Hannah, for posting that first. That's some exciting news. So next Friday, it seems to be like, yeah, we're gonna have another day off. Let me just jump to your stage part of the conversation. And Juan, your item is the first.
Yeah, let me just find it. Yeah, so I just wanted to share that the testing group, we just finished our first category maturity scorecard. So it's based on the old process. So I wouldn't say that this is like a good example moving forward at all, to be honest. I mean, there's definitely useful things. I learned a lot of stuff about my category, the category that I was testing. I learned a lot of things about the product. But yeah, like the process, as we know, change, and it's gonna be use different criteria. But I still feel that there was like useful stuff, and like I think that we ran it in a way that actually allowed us to verify that what we did it's the right thing for the customer. So I think that was a good approach, regardless of the method. And I think that I'm happy that we were able to move that category to viable. It wasn't planned, and now it's on viable. So yeah, I'm happy about that. But yeah, if anyone's gonna run that process soon, I feel free to reach out and I can provide my input. Again, it's gonna be based on what I did on the old process, but I think there's still a lot of like learning things about like how you set up your scenarios. You know, I realized that like the first call that I had was like sloppy, but as I move forward with the calls, I got like new small strategies on how to make sure that I was getting what I needed out of the customers when like validating the scenarios. Uh, just one example is like when you start reading the scenario, like people will like right away start jumping, doing things, you know? And I failed at that at the first call. But then I realized that the second person was gonna do that as well. So I told them like, hey, please don't do anything until I finish reading the scenario, you know? And that's something you don't know until you go and you test it, right? Like until you do that exercise. So I feel that I can give tips on that if you are gonna run these, even if it's with the new process. And yeah, I just wanted to share that. Proud that we did that and happy that we were able to move one category up in the maturity scale.
Thanks for sharing, Juan. And yeah, it seemed like that went pretty well smooth in testing. We had some, I would say different experiences in general in GitLab in different stage groups. So I'm happy that you've been able to validate the maturity and even give it a level up. So thanks a lot for sharing. And yeah, as Juan said, if anyone would be having any questions, feel free to reach out. Diana, over to you, I guess.
Yes, let me see. Yeah, so in release management, we are mapping out user stories for environments and deployments. I think we've been discussing this topic in our Think Big sessions. Jackie and I have identified a bunch of UX bugs and what we call UX features for environments and deployments. So they're all listed in this first epic that are linked here. And I'm currently in the process of making the user stories for environments and deployments more granular. So Jackie identified a bunch of high-level user stories. We're not calling jobs to be done because they're really like specific. And I'm breaking them down into even smaller stories. So just a request / heads up, if you have anything in your stage or any issues that you've seen that overlap with environments or deployments, please let me know, or just feel free to add them to this epic, because yeah, will take care of them, even if they belong to you, or at least it's nice to know. Any questions or any comments there? I'll jump to the next one, which is similar. I'm also tracking UX debt and UI polish issues in an Epic for release management, just so I have a better overview of how many items we currently have. These are the ones that I identified so far. They are not like categorized by category or anything like that. So same thing, if you have in your stage group overlapping items that you think are interesting to release management, let me know, add them here. I have a goal to burn or work on at least one UX/front-end issue per milestone now. This is just part of an exercise to see how many of these exist in release management. And not a lot, but I went through all the issues labeled release management. And yeah, these are the ones I could find. The my suspicion that there's much more around, in GitLab. So that's it. And next up is Dimitri.
Yeah, quick question relating to your first agenda point here, which is regarding UX bugs. So how, like, UX bugs, are those issues that are labeled UX and bug and are not referring to any UX depth issues?
Exactly. So they are not UI polish, because UI polish is just like incorrect implementation or whatever styles or things that can be improved. And UX depth is really the things that were created from technical depth, and UX bug is just a bug that touches the user experience. I think this is also related to the conversation we had about killing the UX bug label, right? That we had a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, so I got a little bit lost on that conversation. I think we had it somewhere, but it is not fully clear to me when you would assign UX depth. Like, a bug is wrongly implemented because of like technical, like there's like technical depth there, or like a bug is like it's programmatically not correct, thus creating some problem, right? Then UX depth would not, like, that would be a separate bucket, right? Okay,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
clear to me.
So the way I also see this is that these are front-end bugs that touch the UI or the UX. That's how I'm also going over them. And I think it's also to our discretion, just go over those issues and decide if they are UI polish, UX depth, bug, whatever. But these are just, we're calling UX bugs because it's just a bunch of UX issues, and some of them include bugs. And we also have a different epic for UX feature requests. So everything in the environment that doesn't have legacy, let's say, everything that is new. So that's in a separate epic.
Yeah, that sounds good. In terms of like, do we have this documented in the handbook? Nope.
No.
Then I suggest that we perhaps make an addition there.
Yeah. It's to me, when you you left a comment in one of the issues, right? And you made me asking what's the difference. And I was a bit like, should I go ahead and add this to the handbook right now? Because in the UX handbook, we just have like a bullet list of labels and what they mean. We don't have like, anything like a placeholder for UX depth, for example. It's everywhere in the handbook. So maybe that's a good opportunity for us to just write down what the UX depth is and when to use UX plus bug, etc. I agree.
I almost feel that like UX depth should be analogous to tech depth, in the sense that it's usually something that it's created in a sloppy way, and then when you look back at it, you're like, oh, I mean, exactly. It's doing what it's supposed to do, but it's not right, but still it's serving the purpose. I think that's how I will define them, like separate, like anything that it's an actual UX bug or like an actual, it will be something that like it's broken. And I think everything else that feels like wrong UX is just UX that. Am I wrong about that approach?
I think there's a debate to be to be had there, and I think it's perfect if we include that in the merge request to be created.
Yeah.
Because it's such a like, it is like, I would love to refer back to the handbook page on this, on the triage issues, looping back into my next point on the agenda, because it's sometimes pretty hard to go off from just a label description as to what exactly this is. And now we're talking about label combination, which is not possible to be explained in a label explanation. So yeah, I think you have like a valid point. On the other hand, I would say like UX depth, I would often thought of myself like, hey, if this creates user confusion, if this has like usability problems, those kind of things that like easily fall, or at least lean in towards the bucket of UX depth. If that, you know, like, if that is doable, like if that is filterable related to your definition of UX depth versus UX bug, that is to be like, I think it can, but maybe not. Like I'm a little unsure.
I think what I was pointing at, like tactically right now, is that since my beginning at GitLab, I have never tagged anything as UX bug, or like, I don't know how recent is that label, but I always do either bug or UX depth or both, right?
Yeah.
Like for me, a bug is a bug, regardless if it's a technical front end, or like, if it's a bug, you're experiencing that bug in the front end, right? Like it's impossible not to like see it in the impact of your experience. So for me, any bug is a UX bug. And that's what I was trying to get at. Almost trying to poke holes at the idea of do we really need the UX bug label?
Yeah. Also, when we think about, for example, UI polish, right? We need to remind ourselves that it's really related to pajamas as well. It's like all those styles and all this, the nitty gritty of the UI that should be implemented or styled in a way, but it's not. And I completely understand the confusion between.
That's a great point, because like sometimes when I see things, I don't even know if I should go and tell the pajamas people, like, hey, this component is wrong, or like, I mean, let's start by saying that not everything uses GitLab UI, right? Like, so there's things that like that things that are not using GitLab UI, I think we're responsible to go and say like, hey, we gotta fix these. And the option in those cases is either using the GitLab UI component or fixing it so it matches whatever.
Yeah,
GitLab
but
UI.
not only GitLab UI or pajamas, but for example, if it's styles from the page layout, right? Those things they live in the EE repo, they live in the code base itself. So for example, let me just let me share my screen. I think that makes it clearer. I added here to the description. My God, hold on, I have too many tabs open. And here's the description, an example of UX depth that we generated now in release management. Can you folks see? I think so, eh? The document, yeah. So this was the original merge request, was to add the type drop down to the release, to the edit release page. And then during this merge request, you see here that this the paddings are too wide. This is nothing, right? If this would just follow up, not follow up, but this would not be raised as an issue right now in this merge request, would be a UI polish in the future. But because while I was reviewing this, I told Nathan, our front ender, it's like, this is wrong. This needs to be fixed. So we generated another issue, a follow up for UX depth. So it is a UI polish, it's like a UX bug, right? But because we identified in the merge request phase, during the development phase, it generates the depth, and then we fix it during the milestone. So I think it really depends on the context and how we want to label and treat those things. But to me, as long as they are tracked and fixed, you know.
Can you hover the label again? I just want to read the definition.
What's that, sorry?
Can you hover the UX depth label again? Hover? Yeah.
And it was just.
I mean, I guess that makes sense now that I read it. Like that, you know.
Yeah.
It's
And then,
definitely a great discussion to move into like an issue or an MR. Yeah, I don't know. Like, if do we have any volunteers to start that? Because yeah, I feel like there's so much discussion happening, and it actually would be great to have that documented, like not only on the labels page.
I can follow up with that since I initiated a discussion on UX bug. I'll put an action item here. And then I'll just
Thanks, Hannah. Yeah, I think that also will be useful not only for the product designers, but also for the product management department, because I find myself often having that discussion with PMs, like what does it exactly mean? And having that somewhere documented actually would make sense even earlier. So thanks a lot.
Cheers. Then I'll take the next point. For PD and CI, so progressive delivery and continuous integration, I have introduced triaging for both UXDAPT and UI Polish. So as like a similar kind of like way as what Jana described. It's like a different process, but the idea is that with triaging reports, the product manager and the UXer are being reminded to triage the issues and assign basically a milestone and assign a severity and priority label to all issues. And like initially it was just bugs, then UXDEP was introduced. Like I was not directly involved with that. And what I've added, at least for CI and the product delivery, progressive delivery group, is adding a UI polish, but specifically adding in heat maps, which makes it possible to see like, hey, how many issues are currently without a milestone? How many issues are currently without any severity labels? And if so, how many issues are, for example, within the severity 2 and priority 2, like little part of the heat map? And that way you can get an overview of how well you're doing in your stage group. I've yet to make some improvements there, but for progressive delivery, this is going very well. And for CI, I'm starting to start it up. So I'll be working with you, Vitika, to get that going. And apart from that, there's the standard process of suggesting at least one UXDAPT and UI polish issue towards PM in the next planning issue. And the product management has already accepted that as like an effort, and that they will work alongside to get that planned in. And in that way, we help out with the OKR related to UXDAPT and UI polish. So that's for CI and PD.
Curious if anyone else on this call using triage reports, or anyone who is ignoring it, because I know in Marcel's team some designers been like asking to how do you say, be removed from the notifications.
I get the triage reports a lot and I ignore them.
And you ignore it.
Yeah.
And why is that?
Yeah, because it was not clear, right? Why
like,
they're there.
What am I supposed to do here? You know, like sometimes I get them all the time. And I'm like, okay.
It was just thrown on your roof.
Yeah.
And then I was like, but this needs to have some kind of function. So then I looked into it and I was like, all right, this is about triaging. All right, let's triage these issues and then get them scheduled somehow.
So I have a question here. Does the triaging happen, like do one of you take the task upon yourself, or does it happen in a group, in a meeting?
I think
currently it happens. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, based on what we were just discussing, like the way that it's set up right now, at least for my, like the way that I get it is there's an issue that gets created automatically, like by GitLab bot, tags everyone who is, I don't know, necessary or like stakeholder of the group, and then you're supposed to go there and asynchronously do it. That's how it works, right, Dimitri?
Yeah, currently it is that way. I would say that there is like an improvement to be made there with like some kind of like a priority matrix meeting or whiteboarding meeting, and then, you know, assign those severity and priority labels. I think that's getting somehow a little bit closer to what Hayana is doing, with including them into a context and then looking at them potentially together. I don't know if you're doing that, Hayana, but in the end, it kind of serves the same goal of getting things scheduled, right? One way or another.
What I know from release management is that Jackie goes over the strategy report. I get the alerts, the notifications, but by the time I get there, someone already did the tasks, so I never really have to look into anything. For example, the last one, this one was triggered 2 days ago. I sent here in the chat, and then there is this the one bug that is an item that I just showed you, like follow up from a UX dev. So it found an issue, right, and Jack immediately scheduled it. And then I worked on it. So from my side, I ignore it because someone else does a job. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think it's important to look at those triage reports similarly as you have, for example, the stand-up bot. Like it is a tool for us to communicate and do some backlog management, while we are not needing to always think of it ourselves. But it is not necessary to do it. Like it is a tool. It's there to help us, not for us to help them, right? Like that's the way I look at it, at least.
Interesting learnings here. Yeah, I'm curious to hear how this gonna be, how PM's gonna behave further with these triage reports and how they're gonna be prioritizing. Dimitri, maybe later you can even show us a little, a little demo if you will find that works for the PMs. But yeah, I understand that in some stage groups it's probably not needed. Like Hannah, you're saying, if Jackie's following up and everything, that's just perfect. Okay. All right. So I see our process part is empty. Just quick call out. Anyone wants to share any interesting process that folks tried or anything, something interesting that works in the stage group? Doesn't seem like that. All right, then to cross stage. And first item is mine. However, I see much more important items, so I won't spend time on this. This was a follow-up from our previous team call from the retro point that Juan mentioned about putting in one place all of the meetings that we are having as a team. Viticat is going to be extremely helpful for you, so I'm going to make sure that I merge request soon. And I'm also making the board where I would collect all of these type of issues, where I asked a team for input. So then you can go there and see, I replied here, replied there, but then, for example, I didn't reply there. Just to make sure that we move on with some of the things faster that needs input. And of course, we will run retro on this. So, but keep you posted. I want to put something visual behind this word, so let's not spend too much time. And a quick note from myself. Hey, I watched all of the UX kickoffs video. I really, really enjoyed them. I feel like I learned so much. Yeah, because some of the things I feel like it's really easy to skip when you are not in the stage group. So it was very useful. I know that dev UX team are also doing that. I haven't watched theirs though, but I know I should. And I'm curious, in the team, do you watch other product designers video? Maybe somebody watched the ones from dev. Do you think this is gonna be helpful for us in the first place? Of course, this is a topic for retro, but just wanted to quickly ask here.
I did watch them all. And I felt a little bit bad later because I think mine were, Dimitri's are super with the slides and stuff. And Hayana's ones were very, I don't know, presenting to an audience, and mine were oh yeah, here's what I'm working on, see you later. So
that's what I did too. It's whatever, a minute and a half is what I got working on done. And I just put, I looked at Hayana's and I put the links to my issues in there. So I thought, well,
Yeah, I actually got feedback that mine was too similar to the one from product, and that was unnecessary. And I'm okay, then I should have just done 2 seconds. Yeah. I think, in my honest opinion, I think this would be useful not just to us, but more broadly once we start doing these kickoffs together with PMs, so that it's it reaches the whole company. What I think, I'm not sure if Juan was it Dmitry, whatever. Anyway, someone, also Jackie mentioned that she wants me to do together with her for the company, the kickoff, the milestone kickoff, because yeah, then we can reference to a single thing and make sure that UX is included in the overall planning that we talk about. But yeah, I watched it. I love that Lori's was like 1.5 minutes. I was like,
That's right. And we don't do these on the UX team, so I think it's good for me to be able to do mine and put it with you guys' stuff as well, because otherwise we have a board, but nobody looks at the board to find out what we're up to.
Cool. All right. Well, it sounds good. That's great. I'm happy that at least, that we are coming and watching those. As I said, after we run the one with the PMs, let's run a quick retro. I will create an issue so we can compare the two ways to do that and see if that's useful, because I can imagine that takes time. That's like additional activity. So I don't want to ask to spend time on something that won't be valuable. However, I feel like that's going to be really interesting. At least I feel the value already, but I hope I'm not the only one.
I think I really, if I can add just one thing, is like I really like that we did the videos, but I personally still see the value in us just talking about it sometimes, just saying, yeah, here's a list of the 3 issues that I'm working on and having them in the agenda or something, so that we can not wait. You don't have to wait for the video, but you can have access or have a way to find it. You mentioned above, like having the board or having something like that. But yeah, video is nice because it's available to everyone, but it doesn't stop us from just talking about it if we see.
Yeah, I agree.
I wonder if we could just do a video of us talking about it and note the timestamps of each person's discussion piece. And
nice, like they were showcase. Yeah, cool, like it.
Those are good proposals. I'll make sure that I document them and we collect it together with the findings after the retro, and maybe we come up with a different approach. Thanks for that. While I'm making Lori's comment noting here, Hayana, over to you.
This one, right? Yeah, so just a quick question. I think I asked this before, but is anyone working on analytics components, data visualization anytime soon? Or that you have items in your backlog? And I'm asking this because I have this task to identify the GitLab UI components, or at least some UI components to use in the director dashboard or the group level CI/CD dashboard. And I just want to know, because I feel like I asked this before, but I don't really remember if anyone's working with analytics. If not, it's also fine.
Hayana, I actually think this is a great question for tomorrow. Well, it's a design review with ops, but I know that Nadia Sotnikova, I think, was working in ops. I have a feeling that somebody there.
Yeah, I had a call. We have a monthly, data visualization analytics call that Nick organizes, and I know that is it Create? My God, which team? Whatever, some team. They presented today this one, like a generics analytic reports page. Let me just link here quickly. Here, hold on, wait until Nadia stops typing, sorry. And it's like 90% similar to what we're trying to do on release management. The difference is that they want to have like a widget, kind of a widget dashboard when users and people can just say on the CI file which data points they want to render in a dashboard view, but like for all data, right? Any data points. And for us, it's really like related to environments, deployments, etc. in a dashboard view. And I just wanted to know, if people are working on anything related, because I think it will be interesting to have conversations also with Jackie and align the plans, especially between us, because it's verify release, everything's the same anyways.
Dimitri, you want to vocalize your comment, or? Oh, sorry.
For the next. No worries.
And then the next one, it's kind of like, Dimitri's already answering here. So we have this, the detached label. It's back from the shadows. And I just dropped here to hear if anything else is needed from my side, or if there's anything that I can help with.
Yeah, thanks for that, Anna. This is an issue that recently got split off in terms of UX scope. So the engineering is going to work on improving when the detached label is shown at all. So I think that will improve the situation at least by some, and will kind of delay the UX conversation a bit to a separate new focus issue. I saw that you left a lot of information there. Thank you for that. In terms of like UX availability, this is a little bit like additional work I want to get to, but there's more priority work for me first that needs to be done. So I'm thankful this is being scoped off to a separate issue, but I've made a comment inside that new issue that there's a lot of content to go through in the old one. So your content will not be forgotten and will be reviewed in that new issue.
Yeah, for sure. No, thanks for the heads up. I think also kind of trying to highlight again is that with this topic, we did a bunch of research. So I would say look into the findings or let the PMs look into it, because all the answers for the problems, because I actually did we did usability testing with this one. So there are video recordings, there's the whole shebang related to problems about the detached label. So everything's
don't want to let that work go to waste. And I know there was some research on this, and thanks for putting in some details in there. That surely is important, because it would be so nice to just be able to, finish that confusion. Because even though I was involved in implementing it, even to me, it still confuses it. Looking back at it, like attached, detached, like it's such a weird terminology being used there. Yeah,
and then. From my side, I did the whole. We did the whole investigation and documented everything. But then there were no proposals and no prototypes and no follow-up from all those issues. So I think it's also a good exercise. And then I can definitely help you there, because it's better if we have a discussion than if you have to watch 6 hours of user interviews, because I think that's the amount of people that we interviewed. So yeah, let me know.
Thanks, Hannah, it's definitely useful. So I appreciate you jumping in there as well. And thanks, Dimitri, for pushing this forward. Okay, we have just a few minutes left. Lori, the user research part is empty. Anyone wants to mention anything? Any huge happenings around that?
I got nothing other than we're using Dovetail now for our tool. So everybody should have gotten an invite. If I learned today, if you don't hit the button to activate your invite, it flips over to just a view only account. You got 2 weeks to do that. So if you didn't activate it, go and do that. If it still is a viewer account, I can change it. I've got admin rights. And Vithka, you should have gotten an invite, I hope, at some point. If you don't get one in the next week, let me know, and I can send you one from the system. And if you've never used Dovetail before, welcome. I haven't either. It's what we're using to capture, I think the video too, notes and our insights and our findings. So we don't write reports here. Instead, we're very much more agile in how we present what we learn. So we're going to use that platform now moving forward to present all of that information. There's a 10-minute video somewhere to watch. That's what I did. That's as far as I've gotten. I need to dive into it more. So if you get a chance to dive into it more and you have questions, let me know. We'll learn together. And that goes for everybody. That's it. That's all I got.
Thank you.
You'll probably find it, Vitika, in your email somewhere later. I can imagine that it's...
I just checked. I don't think I have it.
We can look into that with you after this meeting.
Yeah, I didn't know where it was on her onboarding. So just let me know if you need anything.
I'll make sure that we follow this up, Vitika, as well. Alrighty, and well, as a final point, I actually just really wanted to share this. I'm not sure, Lori, maybe this is already being included into the jobs to be done, all that huge work that you are doing right now. But by your recommendation, I'm reading this book. That's, by the way, actually so easy to read and so down-to-earth explanation of the jobs to be done. Recommended to everyone. I have it on my iPad. I don't know, it's just pages go very fast. And I didn't go too far yet, but what I really liked and what made to me a lot of sense. Like I inserted this graphic of, I don't remember how they call it, but I think it's a jobs to be done grouping or something like that. And this is a nice visualization of how you visualize the whole like user journey with the jobs to be done from the beginning to middle to an end. And I thought it's really visual and easy to grasp, and probably a nice practice for us to try with Mural with our PMs. Just wanted to share that.
Yeah, it's mapping the job. So I actually talked to Holly about this yesterday, and her PM and Mike as well, because they had some questions about their jobs. Are their jobs too granular? Are they too high level? And I suggested that maybe they map them out, because if you're not sure if you're at the right level to start with, try mapping it out at that level. And if you find yourself missing some steps or missing some tools or missing some parts of that job, then you'll either need to go probably down in granularity to get closer to more detail. If you find yourself mapping everything under the sun, you might need to go up one level in job detail. So hopefully we'll meet on Friday. Monday was a holiday in Europe, so that was on me. I scheduled to follow up on Monday. So it's scheduled for Friday. I really hope that the next hour will allow the group to get aligned on how we want to communicate granularity and altitude of jobs to be done. I'm so glad you're enjoying the book, Nadia. It really is one of the best books that I have read on jobs to be done as it relates specifically to design and research, not just this 86-step process that this other guy came up with. That's ridiculous and no one's ever going to follow. It's very consumable, very user-friendly to read. Most of my stuff that's on that jobs to be done merge request came from the book. So I'm going to need to like put his byline under there somewhere. And I think I might suggest it to the book club as well as their next book to read, because it really is effortless to read and very, very simple. And you can actually look at it and go, oh, that's something I can do with my PM or with my other designers. And I think mapping jobs out, we're going to talk about that on Friday, because I think that's going to be something that will help people to visualize what they're trying to capture in a statement, as well as being able to pick up the user story piece and task piece as well. So yeah, because we kind of map out tasks, like, you know, you map out processes, but you don't think of it as from a higher level viewpoint. So cool.
Nice. Yeah, looking forward to that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to discussing this more in the future if anyone will have an experience with this or will have anything to share. All right, I want to make sure that I don't keep anyone over the time. I know it's almost the top of the hour. Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining. Vidika, again, welcome. Super nice to have you on the team. Thanks a lot for being so open to go through my torture of fun activities. I know not everyone really likes that from time to time, but yeah, thanks a lot. And yeah, have a good evening or day or whatever is the time there for you. Chat soon.
Bye.